Hello and welcome back to Watchworthy. I'm your co-host, Miss Chris D.
It's your boy, Brother Ash.
And we are back with a true crime documentary. Today we're talking about the 2024 Netflix documentary, Lover, Stalker, Killer. And this was just something that we were curious about since it was number one on Netflix. You know, we spent a lot of time on Netflix. And also, you know, the poster, it looked like a creepy, mysterious stalker guy. So we were intrigued. We like true crime.
We wanted to do a real true crime one. I feel like it's been a few weeks since we did one.
Yeah.
So,
So, you know, this one was really interesting. It was a real life story, predominantly about this guy named Dave. So Dave was in the documentary as well as his baby mama, Amy. And then a woman he dated named Carrie. Carrie is no longer with us, spoiler alert. So her mother, Nancy, was in the documentary. But this documentary was composed of a lot of reenactments. So if you're not a reenactment kind of person, they definitely had actors playing all the characters. And then there were some police interview tapes as well as some courtroom footage involved. So it was a classic, like, true crime doc.
I love reenactment documentaries.
You really? I don't know,
I like them. Because if you do it right, it just gives the watcher like a hands-on kind of like feel of what was going on throughout the whole case. So, yeah.
Well, while you guys watch, we want to ask you the question, what would have tipped you off about Liz? And I'm not going to tell you any more besides that question. So just listen as we tell you this crazy case called Lover, Stalker, Killer.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to just preface this by saying if you... Luckily, we don't have to online date anymore, but if you was worried about online dating, definitely, you know, don't let this discourage you, but just keep your eyes open. So, boom, we're going to start out with our boy Dave. Dave Krupa is a mechanic, a guy that works with his hands. He always said that he just liked turning the wrench, who met his baby mom, Amy, and had a pretty good life at first. You know, they kind of felt like it was a perfect marriage, but, you know, they were raising their two kids together, and Dave, you know, working. I think one of them worked nights and one of them worked the days, so they just didn't really have a lot of time to spend with each other, so they started to grow apart. So eventually she left with the kids and moved to Omaha. So Dave, being like a good dad, he's like, you know, I don't want to be too far away from my kids. So if y'all move, like, even though we're not together, I'm going to relocate as well, just so I can be able to, you know, be a part of my kids' life.
But I have to say a red flag on Omaha, Nebraska. Who's moving to Omaha? Like, that was a dedicated father because ain't shit out in Omaha.
I don't think they were too far. So, like, that's just, you know, it's so crazy how, like, us being from Jersey, like, we just, like, have a certain idea of how it is, like, in Nebraska. True. You feel me? But, like, that's just regular life to them. So, Omaha, in many ways, was the big city because they had, like, a downtown Omaha. Like, but we from the East Coast, so ain't nobody trying to hear none of that. So, now it's 2012, and Dave is a 35-year-old bachelor. Not bad. Still hope for him. And so he goes on a website called Plenty of Fish.
Yeah, so that's a red flag.
Red flag. So,
is it because we know that your own cousin, he found love on there?
No, it's only a red flag because of, like, what ended up happening. But the reason why I'm putting a red flag there is because, and I don't want people to, like, think we're against online dating, but you just got to be careful. And watching this documentary really, really kind of, like, put it into my head. Like, you really, really got to be careful on these dating websites. So, so he's on Plenty of Fish trying to find a perfect mate for him. And a few days later, he matches with Liz. She had a cleaning company, she loved animals, and they both had kids, and they both were lonely. So he's like, all right, cool. Like, this is nice. This might be a potential match for me. Well, it was. So he was excited about it.
But I think it's important to note that he was not looking for anything serious. He made that very clear. Yeah.
And he made that clear. So he said to Liz that, you know, he wasn't looking for nothing serious. She was really smiley, energetic, full of life, like life of the party type of girl. And their time together was mostly spent, like, downtown at the bars.
Red flag on that.
Red flag on that.
Because if you're just spending time going out to the bars with somebody, then you both should know what it is, right? Like,
yeah, and, you know, it definitely was, like, hooking up that they were doing. Like, he, you know, he kind of said that he wasn't trying to get he said, I will not be tied down.
Yeah.
So a bachelor, but not looking for the one. He's looking for, like, you know,
somebody to kick it with.
Somebody to have fun with. Because I guess, you know, maybe he still had feelings for the baby mom, and maybe he wasn't ready for that yet.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but
35, like, yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, he didn't say that, but one could kind of, you know, put two and two together. So it was a perfect situationship for Dave. at that point in his life, he made it clear to Liz that, like, you know, he wouldn't be tied down. So he meets another girl named Carrie because he's not getting tied down.
He's playing the field. So
she was a customer, you know, because he was a mechanic. So she pulled up to the shop one day. Typical, you know, like, hey, I got some questions about my car. I think he was the manager, so he spoke to her, and he said it was 100% like professional. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't, you know, try to push up on her or nothing like that because he was working. But he did say, like, he was kind of taken away by her beauty and just her overall, like, aura when, you know, when the first time he met her.
So he was checking for Carrie more than Liz.
Yeah. So, Carrie, like, she was local. She had a son, and she had a career with computers. Dave said that she was low-key and out of his league.
Yeah.
So it's something about a girl being out of your league, you know what I'm saying, that makes you want to pursue her a little bit more than the girl that, like, you know is going to come whenever you call.
Yeah, Liz
like,
was definitely the one who was just there to grab drinks whenever he needed
facts.
her.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, when I first saw Miss Chris D's Instagram page, I'm like, she looked all like, you know, all her pictures all perfect, like a little influencer, had the pretty smile. I'm like, man, I hope she don't mind, you know, brother sliding that DM. But, you know, I feel where Dave is coming from.
Yeah.
So after one date with Carrie, they went back to Dave's place, and the next thing you know, Liz pulls up.
Red flag.
Red flag. Red flag. Liz gonna hit my boy with the, yeah, I left something at your apartment, and you just so happen to realize
she
this.
She lying like shit.
The day I bring a baddie home? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, how did she even know that he was on a date? Like, red flag.
Red flag on it. There's going to be a lot of red flags on this episode. Here we are, barely through the first part, and it's already, 4 or 5?
I just can't believe that she showed up to his door cock blocking like that. Like, that's really what it was.
Really super cock blocking. Yeah. But it didn't even work. So, after that, obviously, Carrie left. You know what I'm saying? Because she, you know, felt the vibe. And, like, you know, Dave had to go upstairs and explain to her what happened. And he was honest.
Right.
So, Carrie left, but then she texts Dave, like, hey, like, I'm already halfway to my apartment, so you might as well just come meet me at, you know, where I live. So Dave then goes over to her house, which isn't too far, and then they set straight that they're not boyfriend and girlfriend, but they are going to enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
But Carrie worked close to Dave's place, so she was commuting from her house in Iowa to where Dave was at, which I guess isn't that far apart.
Yeah, I learned in this documentary that Iowa's next to Nebraska. Who knew?
So she started, we from Jersey, yo. All of that is just
I need to brush up on my
it's just
geography.
land to us. But it worked for them because she's like, all right, I'll go to work, and instead of having to come all the way home, I'll just hang out with you for a little bit. So
right, I think she even, Carrie at this point told her family, like, I'm talking to this guy and I'll be hanging out at his house a little bit.
I got a friend that, you know, I hang out with.
So one day, Dave goes to work at 6 a.m. He's a mechanic, so that's bright and early. And he leaves Carrie at his place. So, like we said, it's only been a couple weeks and they're enjoying each other's company. And
Hold on.
Red flag?
Red flag. I don't know if you staying at my place
2 weeks in
while I'm at work.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well,
2 weeks in though.
Like you said, maybe they just got so comfortable, and it is pretty
As
early.
a dude, it'd be awkward because you don't ever want to like kick a girl out of your place because she automatically gonna think you like a mean dude. But like it'd be weird, like you try and leave, like, so I'm going to work.
Where are you going?
Got any plans today? Like, but maybe they really hit it off. But 2 weeks is too early for me to you be at the crib while I'm not there.
I would agree. So the next part is really gonna surprise y'all then, because around 10 a.m. into his shift, he gets a text from Carrie talking about, I think we should move in together. Red flag.
Red flag.
Honestly, if we go back to the earlier question about, like, when did we know something was off, that really was a red flag to me, because I'm like, he said that she was this woman who was out of his league, put together, had a good career, had a good life. So why would you be so pressed to move in? No shade, Dave was a nice guy, but why are you so pressed to move in so early? That just seemed out of character for her.
And mechanics make good money.
Yeah.
You know, he had the kids already with his, you know, baby mom. Amy.
Yeah.
But, you know, single man by himself, I'm sure he wasn't catching him anyways, but that threw both of us off.
It was very weird. And so he literally just responded like, nah, chill. It's only been 2 weeks.
Like we talked about this.
Yeah, he said like we talked about this. No. And so then after that, he starts receiving a barrage of angry texts from Carrie. And so that was a red flag to me, because I'm like, again, you've only been talking for 2 weeks. Maybe she could have texted him asking to move in. But then if he said no, for you to start popping off like that, that was just very weird. So after that, Dave goes home for lunch the same day, And Carrie and all her belongings are gone. So, as a viewer, I just thought, well, damn, I guess it didn't work out for him, you know? And that's what Dave thought too. He just said, okay, guess she broke up with me. Guess she wasn't happy by that. So he moved on like nothing happened.
He was bummed.
Yeah, he actually was pretty sad because she was a nice girl. And so he didn't hear from Carrie for a couple days. Then, out of the blue, he starts getting more angry texts from Carrie that get more rude and more threatening.
Yeah.
So again, all of this over one text about I'm not letting you move in, like that just seemed like too much. So Carrie's mom, this is where the crime starts to come in. Carrie's mom couldn't get through to her either. She wasn't getting a response. She was calling her. She wasn't answering for a couple days. So as a good mother does, Nancy reports Carrie missing. Sheriffs pay Dave a visit. Like, okay, you're going to look like suspect number one.
Of course.
This girl's missing. You were supposed to be her boyfriend. Where's she at? So sheriffs come by. Dave's like, hey, I haven't seen her in days. Here's the evidence to prove it. Mm-hmm. She sent me all these crazy text messages. They look at the text. They think, okay, this is just a breakup gone bad. Yeah. Nothing crazy here.
Another crazy internet dating debacle.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, all of this is just from somebody you only met like a month ago.
Yeah.
So Dave didn't see Liz in a while either. And so she shows up at his place with, oh no, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead because also I want to talk about Carrie's mother for a second, Nancy. We have this going on with Dave, Liz, and Carrie over here. But then we just have a mother over here who thinks her daughter is missing. Like, that's all she cares about.
Because it's kind of like she hasn't seen her or really even heard from her, but still getting messages?
Yes, that's the part I accidentally skipped because Nancy got a Facebook message from Carrie and a text on Mother's Day. So it's like you are reaching out, but you're not being yourself. Yeah. She's giving her these one-word responses, and they were starting to get a little nastier and meaner.
And that was a red flag for me because as a parent, like, you know when something's off with your child, but to be given one-word responses to your mom and then just a text on Mother's Day, you know, people have different relationships with their mom.
But they were close.
Yeah, they were close. So I would think you would at least call. You know, that was a red flag for me. So, like,
Definitely.
I'm going to just let y'all know, your boy, Brother Ash, was a detective in the past life.
Yes.
Because I'm talking like 5 to 10 minutes into the documentary, I solved the whole fucking shit. So,
well, I think early on in the documentary, when they said like, "Oh, Liz liked Dave more than she liked her," then it clicked in my head like, "Okay, something's going on here." But nobody wants to believe the worst.
At first, the math just wasn't math, and the way shit was getting broke down, you like, what is going on?
Yeah, Carrie was just moving too weird for it to be Carrie. So, you know, Dave hasn't seen Liz in a while either. And then out of the blue, she pops up by his place with her car has been keyed. And she talking about it must have been Carrie. Okay. Why would Carrie be doing all this to you, Liz, when y'all only saw each other that one time at my apartment?
Yeah.
Ran into each other for 3 seconds.
Literally, he said they made eye contact for 3 seconds. It wasn't even, oh, you fucking my man, that type of thing. It was like a quick little, well, awkward,
and so
you know?
From there, Liz is saying that Carrie is sending her harassing text messages and emails and keying her car. And we're like, okay, that sounds crazy. So then Dave starts getting texts from different numbers. Now it's like spam. He's getting all these texts and emails, but it's all the same verbiage. So he knew it was all the same person. And he's presuming that it's Carrie. It's really threatening, y'all. It's like, I'm going to kill you and how dare you? You ruined my life. And I'm just sitting here to Brother Ash like, ruined your life over what?
Crazy.
Because he wouldn't let her move in.
Nobody got no money stole from them. Nobody fucking.
Nobody fucked your man.
Like nothing crazy. Nobody ended up getting knocked up. It was just casual hooking up and dating and drinking at bars with these women and like hanging out at their apartments. So I'm like, what? Where is all of this coming from? My boy Dave must have been putting it down. Yo.
Listen, and if anybody's curious, I mean, go watch the documentary, but these are white people we're talking about. So Dave, you know, he was just a regular white guy with a beard, like nothing crazy. So I don't know why these ladies was fighting over him. But so, you know, Carrie claims now it's escalating. She claims that she's stalking Dave now. And she even makes up a lie about moving into an apartment nearby, so I'm watching you. So Dave literally takes the address and goes searching around the neighborhood for the address. Come to find out it was a fake address, of course. So she's just doing all these things to kind of get in his head and mess with his head. So it's starting to worry Dave a little bit because he's like, dang, like, haven't even seen you. You blowing up my phone like this?
This shit is escalating because at this point, all like arrows are pointing towards Carrie. Because I think they even mentioned something about like her being like bipolar or something.
Yeah.
So they tried to paint a picture that she just went crazy and disappeared and just started spending all of her time.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, stalking this man.
So things escalate when Carrie texts Dave pics of Liz's house, where apparently she has spray painted the word whore on the walls. So that's where Dave is like, all right, this has gone too far now. Come on now. And he's still thinking it's Carrie because you're sending me pictures from Liz's house, right? And Liz is crying over here like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this to me. So I'm trying to think in her brain, red flag. Like, did you think that was going to make Dave falling back into your arms? Like, I don't know. But whatever. Y'all could probably see where this is going, right? So then Carrie proceeds to smash Dave's apartment window and cut up Liz's clothes, like in a threatening way, cut her clothes up, spread them out in Dave's apartment. So you're getting text messages and pictures from somebody saying, I'm standing in your apartment. Now I'm here. Now I'm there. It's starting to mess with your brain. Even Dave's baby mom, Amy, was like, nah, Dave, you got too much drama going on over there, so I don't want my kids there.
She pulled the kids. Like, she said, if you want to see your kids, like, you have to come here. But even if at this point, as a father, I'll be like, well, shit. Whoever's doing this is following me. Yeah. So if I do go to my kids, my baby mom house, she might follow me there.
Yeah, so it was a bad situation. And so Dave talked about, the stalking aspect of this case and how when you're getting stalked, I never really had a stalker situation. I don't know about you. I did have one guy that gave me the creeps before, but and even that, you don't know, like, are they going to pop up where I'm at? And it ruins your life. And so Dave had that paranoia. It almost led him to a mental breakdown and he started drinking, y'all. So it got pretty serious, all from just chatting with somebody online.
And red flag, because if I was Dave, I would have started popping my shit. And I don't know if he did, and they just didn't mention it in the documentary, but I'd have been texting back like,
no, yeah,
you crazy psycho bitch. If you I'm staying in my apartment all day. If you break my window, I'll be waiting here with a fucking shotgun. Stop playing with me.
I definitely would have did the same. Like, oh, I'm watching you. I'm gonna kill you. I would have been, come do it then.
I was like, bitch, I'm watching you.
Come do it. Like, what? You're not about to stop me from living my life. This lady was texting him all day, every day from different emails and phone numbers.
Look, Brother Ash is a gentleman, but once safety gets compromised and once all, you start ripping clothes and all of that stuff, we got to take care of this.
Yeah.
So, now we're going to talk about the investigation. So, enter the law enforcement. Detective Chris Legro says at this point that they have an arrest warrant, but they can't find, like, any conclusive evidence that
they can't physically find her. Nobody has seen Carrie.
They can't find Carrie, and they can't find anything that's like saying she's definitely doing this besides these ominous text messages. So the big breaking point occurs when Carrie sets Liz's house on fire and texts, "I hope the whore and her kids die in it."
Red flag.
Huge red flag. Listen, it's one thing to be crazy and to have this type of crazy love triangle, whatever you want to call this. But once you threaten somebody's kids, you now enter into a whole new level of crazy. For sure. So Liz and her kids were unharmed, of course, but her pets died.
Yeah, that was strange because
That's fuck up.
Yeah, we know that she was like an animal lover. So like, how did you get out of the house and not your pets and like you're unscathed?
Why did Sparky have to go? I don't even know if the dog name was Sparky, but that's, to me, I'm like, that's fucked up.
No, at the end of the day, like, lives were lost, and all of this, again, I just can't believe was over this dude Dave.
Yeah. So detective records his interview with Liz at the scene of the fire, right?
Y'all, I love when they have like a 911 call or like audio recording on a documentary, because you can really hear when somebody's lying in their voice.
I'm not gonna lie, like, she did a good job. Up to this point, she was doing a good job in, like, not really making it seem like she was like a victim. She felt like the victim, and she sounded like it. So all she seems to care about, though, is her pets in the conversation, which is like a red flag. Like, I get it that you just lost your pets, but like, there's a whole lot else at stake, and she just didn't seem like as, like, I don't know, manic or like,
I would say as a viewer, from this point up until this point, I believed like, damn, maybe Carrie really is just crazy and Liz is a victim. But then I don't know, something about the police recording when she was just like, yeah, I'm good. I know my pets died, but I'm good.
What did it for me, and I said this during the documentary, was when she said, I want your kids to die in a fire. When somebody, I told you I was a detective in my past life. When somebody tries to set somebody on fire in the house, they usually do it from the outside. And this is why I like the reenactments. They show the person setting the fire from the inside. So I'm like, you're doing that and you're leaving. So if you
True.
truly wanted the people inside to die,
You would've
you
did
would
it
have
when they
made
was in
sure
there.
that they were home and then did it from the outside.
Right.
So that's when my ears really went up once she said that. So finally Liz moves and she doesn't tell Dave where. So this kind of messed me up. So this made him feel lonely, especially now that Carrie's out the picture. Nobody has seen or heard from her for a while. And Dave moves too, changes his phone, and he gets a new job. I guess that's a good thing about being a mechanic.
Yeah,
He
so
just,
I would say, like, I thought maybe the dust was settled, you know?
Yeah, and it
Carrie's
was for
gone,
a while.
Liz is gone. Maybe your life can just go back to normal.
So low-key life was back to normal. And this is where the online dating gets scary. 1 year later in Potawatomi, it took a long time for us to get this right. A year later in Potawatomi County, the sheriff's office in Iowa heard the Omaha Police Department was looking for Carrie, and they pick up the investigation.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Carrie has given her mother the story that she got a new job and moved to Kansas.
So I guess Nancy still was hearing from Carrie.
Yeah.
And that's the story she told. Red flag, because
definitely huge
why
red
would you
flag.
just move to Kansas and leave your son?
So detectives finally learn from Carrie's mom that Carrie is bipolar, like I mentioned earlier.
And not a red flag that she's bipolar, but a red flag. Why didn't you tell the police that the first moment you said she's missing?
Because they would take that information and like look for tendencies of somebody that's bipolar and then say, oh, what's the worst thing a bipolar person has done because of their condition? And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of serial killers and shit that comes up. So she probably didn't say that because she didn't want to incriminate her daughter.
Yeah.
So yeah, they finally learned that she's bipolar and that, you know, she had been off her meds. They found like a bunch of her meds stashed under her bed. So now it's like, oh, maybe she really went off the edge and that's what happened. So
that's what I believed as a viewer. I told Brother
Yeah.
Ash, like, okay, maybe she really did just have a manic episode.
like a mental health crisis situation, and like all her belongings were still at the house. So they like, oh, she really just went off the edge.
That's the weird part, though. If you telling your mom that you moved to Kansas, why all your clothes still at your house?
So like now, like we're starting to see like something about. Well, I always thought this, but detectives are like really starting to scratch their heads now because they're like, we can't figure this out. Like
the math not mathing.
So, like I said earlier, Dave still hadn't learned his lesson.
Red flag.
Red flag.
If you just went through all this, why are you gonna go back on Plenty of Fish?
The boy ends up back on Plenty of Fish, and he got stood up on a date. Right, so he's waiting for this girl. The waiter comes over like, "Yo, bro, you good?"
Right,
He like,
that's
"Nah,
embarrassing when
I'm
you're waiting."
I'm waiting." So he got stood up on a date, and Carrie texted him from his date's phone.
Lord, I almost passed out. Red flag.
Fucking flag.
It's been a whole year, and now Carrie texts you from this random other girl, not Liz, not Carrie, not involved in the triangle at all. And now you hear from her from this other girl's phone?
So he fucked up. Cause now he's like, fuck, I let Carrie back into my life. And you did that.
That's your fault.
I'm like, if this woman went to the extent to burn somebody's house down, you don't think that she's waiting for you to get back on the dating app? And like, you're not moving like clear. It'd be different if he was like, yo, I'm moving to Hawaii.
Change his name.
I'm moving to New Jersey. Like, he's moving like within the same, region kind of. I feel like the Midwest is a lot more spread apart. So I'm not, sure how that pans out logistically, but like I know in the dating apps they usually do like within like 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever. So
he did not learn.
Carrie found his ass, and now he's like, fuck, back to this shit. So Dave's baby mom, Amy, became Carrie's next target.
And that's a red flag because I'm curious, why wouldn't she go after her first? Why are you over here going after Liz and everybody else? It seems like the baby mom and the kids are most important.
Because I'm guessing at this point, since Dave was making it a point to get on the dating profiles, that he's, his eyes were set on, Liz and Carrie.
Yeah, so he wasn't really focused on a relationship with her.
So she dubbed the next date by being crazy and hacking whatever she had to hack to make
Right.
that profile, and said, oh, if it's any other woman that could come in between us, it's going to be his baby mom.
Yeah.
So Dave's dad buys him a pistol and he keeps it in the closet.
Why
Red
is that?
flag.
Why is that a red flag?
You should have had a pistol a long time ago, bro. You should have been got the pistol.
As soon as somebody started texting me crazy, I would have got strapped up as well. Yeah.
God